With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. President Trump has just tweeted the presidential economic advisor Larry Kudlow has suffered a heart attack and is at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center. The president said, quote, "Our great Larry Kudlow, who's been working so hard on trade and the economy, has just suffered a heart attack. He is now in Walter Reed National Military Medical Center." Kudlow joined the Trump economic team in March after years as an economic commentator for the cable news network CNBC. Again, the president tweeting that Larry Kudlow of his economic team has suffered a heart attack and is at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center. The eyes of the world are on Singapore, where President Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un are about to begin their historic summit.
It's Tuesday morning in Singapore, where President Trump and Kim Jong-un have arrived at the summit site on Sentosa Island, where the two leaders will soon kick off a day of face-to-face, high-level nuclear talks. They will begin with a handshake before the president and Kim go behind closed doors to meet one-on-one. After that private session, the leaders will hold meetings with the delegations from both countries. A few hours ago, President Trump wrote on Twitter that we will all know soon whether he can reach a deal with North Korea to end its nuclear program.
White House correspondent Greg Clugston. SRN News military affairs analyst Lieutenant Colonel Robert McGinnis says Kim is coming prepared.
Given that Kim Jong-un has twice met with President Xi Jinping of China and has received great counsel there, he's also met with Sergei Lavrov, foreign minister of Russia, here last week, that he's been kind of pumped up and mentored enough that he will be pragmatic going in there. He knows Trump has to walk away with something. At the same time, he wants to survive and walk away with something, too.
On Wall Street, the Dow by 5 points, the Nasdaq rose 14, the S&P advanced 3, oil up to $66.10 a barrel. This is SRN News. A model tells young girls to stay out of the business.
Nicole Weeder appeared in Victoria's Secret catalogs and Maxim magazine and was climbing the industry ladder. But then she gave her life to Christ and quit the business she'd been in since childhood. Weeder tells the Christian Post, quote, "I don't recommend modeling as a profession to any young woman. It's just not worth it to be judged only on how you look." Since leaving modeling, she's founded the largest online community for teenage girls and campaigned for decency. Michael Harrington, SRN News.
A statue of Jesus that a Baptist church in South Carolina voted to remove because the congregation deemed it too Catholic has found a new home. Pastor Jeff Wright of Red Bank Baptist Church says the statue will be taken down soon and given to another congregation. The Red Bank congregation felt the image of Jesus standing outside the building might be confusing to people passing by. There are noticeable physical similarities to the church's statue and the famed Christ the Redeemer statue in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. This is SRN News. An American teacher is being honored for highlighting a Polish Holocaust hero.
Along with an American foundation, Poland's leaders are honoring Kansas history teacher Norman Konrad, who'd produced a play about social worker and member of the wartime Polish resistance Irina Sendler in 1999. Sendler had risked her life to smuggle Jewish children out of the Warsaw Ghetto and even under torture had refused to reveal the identities of those she saved. Her story was largely unknown until Konrad's intervention. Poland's culture ministry and the San Francisco-based Torb Philanthropies are presenting Konrad with the 2018 Irina Sendler Memorial Award in Warsaw. Sendler died in 2008, aged 98. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
IHOP, which teased a name change to IHOB earlier this month, says the B is to promote its burger menu. The pancake chain has been coy about whether the name flip is permanent, saying Monday that it was for the time being. More details at srnnews.com. I'm Keith Peters in Washington.
Today we decided to walk to school. The light counted. 15, 14,
13. We
took a left on Carroll Street. Danny's smart, but he gets distracted.
I
realized he forgot his homework. I hope he doesn't have another bad day at school.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. That's why there's Understood.org, a free resource for the parents of the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues. Go from misunderstanding to Understood.org. Brought to you by Understood and the Ad Council.
Let's check the weather with freeze notice meteorologist Dan Hicks. Boy, we had plenty of watches and warnings over the weekends. One thing to get rain, but hopefully there's not much severe in the near term for us.
Well, there could be some additional rounds of severe storms later today and tonight into tomorrow. We've got this boundary between the very warm and humid air to the southwest and the cooler conditions farther northeast, and that will be kind of the focus for the thunderstorms the next 24 hours. This system starts to move eastward tomorrow into Wednesday, so rain chances diminish from this system at that time. We're going to see some 90s, especially in southern Illinois this afternoon, and probably again tomorrow, while areas farther north will be a fair amount cooler. A brief dry window once this system moves out, and then some rain returns later in the week. This contrast in temperatures from the southern Midwest southward and areas farther north continue to generate some additional thunderstorms later in the week. So hopefully we'll fill in some of the places that missed the big rains. Parts of Illinois, Missouri, southern Iowa still need some rain and had more spotty significant rains the past 3 or 4 days. Hopefully we'll fill some of those drier areas in over the next several days.
Boy, quite a bit, though. I see a lot of 90s down the road. Maybe Father's Day will be a hot one.
The jet stream lifts northward this weekend into a portion of next week, and that will allow the warm and humid conditions to spread farther north for probably a 4 or 5 day period. It kind of coincides with the 6 to 10 day time frame where temperatures will be mid-80s to mid-90s, fairly common, and dew points will climb back up into the 60s and low 70s. It doesn't look like a long-lasting thing, though. I think by later in the 10-day period, things start to move back south, and some cooling as the jet stream moves back southward later in the 6 to 10 into the 11 to 15-day time frame.
Dan Hicks, Freeze Notice. Let's check the markets with Dale Dirkholz, senior analyst at AgriVisor. Boy, surely we're oversold, but no one seems to want to buy for corn and beans right now.
Kind of ugly out there in the world of commodities these days, and it isn't just grains. You know, the broad commodity indices, the one that I watch, was down over 2 full points today, which is a pretty big move for it. But you know, the grains themselves, I think really we can probably go back and sum up the market move we had here today with one perspective: nobody wanted to buy it. And I think the reason comes back from a couple of folds. Yeah, we did have good rains across parts of the Corn Belt over the weekend, you know, even reaching into some of the drier spots of central Illinois and parts of Iowa itself. That probably was the thing a lot of people can look at and go, that's the big key. And it was a big key. It was a big element. But also, we've still got all this trade activity up in the air, and there was some illusion over the weekend that, you know, Trump may consider just abandoning NAFTA altogether, so we'll have to see how that plays out. And there isn't really much news about trade going on right now with everybody over in Singapore with the meetings with Kim Jong-un going on. But the bigger factor here that probably kept the trade away really has to do with the USDA coming out with a new set of winter wheat production estimates, but more importantly, supply demands tomorrow. And there's a lot of uncertainty around the trade at this point as to how the USDA may alter or not the supply demands that we see coming out tomorrow, especially those for corn and beans. And as I said, nobody wanted to be a buyer today, and that uncertainty really served to keep buyers standing on the sideline going, we'll wait and see what tomorrow says, and we'll go from there.
Dale Dirkholz at AgriVisor.
Hey, Steve Harvey here for the Illinois Broadcasters Association, and in a recent survey, the Illinois Emergency Management Agency was asked to name the top 5 items that every Illinois family needs to have in their home's emergency disaster kit. Check out these answers. Water, can't live without it. Number 2, non-perishable food. Well, after all, a man gotta eat, right? Number 3, weather radio, and make sure you got fresh batteries too. Number 4, flashlight. Even more reason to have fresh batteries on hand. Number 5, first aid kit. Look, there's no reason to feud over what items to put in your family's emergency disaster kit. Get the answers and more at ready.illinois.gov. That's ready.illinois.gov.
Sponsored by the Illinois Emergency Management Agency, aired in cooperation with the Illinois Broadcasters Association and this station.
Using other options for weed control.
And we are good stewards of these technologies. And so that message needs to go out as well, not only in word, but in action.
Crop protection stewardship, it's in your hands. For more information, visit ilfb.org/steward.
You're listening to RFD Town and Country Partners, connecting you with the food you eat, the Illinois farmers who grow it, and the food-related events, destinations, and lifestyles that make our state great.
Welcome back to Town and Country Partners. We're visiting with Heather Hampton-Nodal, Montgomery County. As we always say, Heather, when we talk to you, you wear so many hats with Agri-Women for America. Also, for today, you are a proud farm mom and 4-H leader and preparing for a busy Montgomery County show week or weeks in your area.
Yes, we have the 4-H General Show will be Saturday, and then the livestock shows and cats and dogs and things like that follow on the following week, and Montgomery County Fair is in conjunction with that. Our children also like to enter some things in photography, maybe some of their art projects, sewing, baking. So that's going on. But then the food and clothing show will actually be in July 10th. So we're spread out, and I am somewhat thankful for that.
Well, yeah, it keeps you a little bit sane to try to narrow it down a little bit. But I know, you growing up in 4-H yourself, there's something about, preparing for that 4-H show that probably leads to a lot of late nights, the first couple of nights before the show.
Yes, I think a lot of parents joke about that. Of course, there are some who are really on the ball and ahead of the game and just, exemplary. That's really the way it should be kind of thing. But the majority of us, I think, are saying, all right, you've started on this one, you've started on that one, but now we got to pull it all together. And you need to pull your exhibit together and get the details wrapped up here as you go into the fair. So it is, I don't know, it's really a family effort in terms of providing the energy and the you can do it and we'll get you there type of thing. It really does kind of pull everybody together. And there's so much to look forward to once you're on site, too, because they always enjoy looking at other members' projects, and you always find yourself in awe of one, if not several things.
Now, as you look back, now as a leader and a parent, do you still remember those lessons that you learned in 4-H, or do you use some of those skills every day in what you do?
Oh, yeah, both hard skills and soft skills. For myself, I was more of I took conservation, veterinary science, herb gardening, showed beef cattle, did photography, dog obedience, and went to state in dog obedience. I love that one. Was part of the Tail Waggers 4-H Club, in addition to our regular Super Clovers 4-H Club out of Windsor. But there's all sorts of things you draw on almost every day, and definitely the soft skills like public speaking, following through, getting your records done. Those things, I think, serve us in every aspect of our lives, both your career and just being organized. So, yeah, there's not a day that goes by.
So, and I know that's what your hopes are then for not only your children, but the students that are in your 4-H club, which are how many in number at this point?
Oh, this year we have 35 in our club, so that's a pretty good size for a general 4-H club. That we do a lot of community service, and have something definitely every month, if not a few times a month, that's 4-H oriented. And in June, we're planning for our road trip. We do a summer fun outing, and this time we're going to a hibachi grill and a motorworks museum. We're going to have a special tea ceremony at the Japan House at University of Illinois, because Japan was the country we did for our international night this year, and also visit Dallas & Company Magic Shop and Costume Shop. So, yes, we have a lot going on with our members and our awesome member families.
Well, and you guys have a super place. The 4-H fairgrounds, the county system is a great show place, and hopefully folks take advantage of that, especially on your general projects day to come out. As you said, it's really free entertainment for everybody in the county.
It is, and I think they open them up. I think it's either noon to 1 or somewhere in a time frame so that people can come and enjoy that. And definitely grandparents and family friends like to come out and support their 4-H'ers at that time as well.
We're airing this piece the week of the state FFA convention, and you mentioned to me, I guess I didn't realize that you and your husband Brian actually met through FFA.
We did. I love the story because we were both in the same section, but I didn't know him. He said he knew me, but I didn't know him. And he had won in both beef and diversified crop at the section level with records judging, but he could only go forward to districts in one of them. He chose diversified crop, so that meant I got to go in beef. And so the opening line when I saw him in Mattoon, Illinois at districts record judging and interviews was, "You're the one who beat me." And the rest is history, as they say. So.
Oh, that's great. And back to those skills. I mean, and obviously you're one of the best public speakers I know, and speakers, and I know that you really went far. That was a really good area for you to be involved with.
It was. I enjoyed extemporaneous myself. That's my preferred zone, because with prepared, it seems like when you do memorize everything to the letter and the comma and the gesture, then if something you might miss a step, then all of a sudden you find yourself maybe locking up and thinking, oh, darn it. Whereas with extemporaneous, you can have more fun with it, and it seems a lot more interactive with the audience. And we're trying to encourage our children, even through 4-H, and that really I credit 4-H with my start in that, because my very first speech was on ringworm, and I hid behind the column in the I'm trying to remember which church we were in. I think it was the Windsor Christian Church basement. But I've come a long way from there, and trying to encourage our children to take advantage of those opportunities as well.
And circling back to you saying you use those skills, and here you go. You started in 4-H and FFA in the public speaking, and then I get to see you at a Farm Bill hearing at the Farm Progress Show last year, being able to be articulate and state your case for agri-women and for farmers.
Yes, it just seems like weird. We do that all the time, whether you're in the grocery line or on a flight coming back from Washington, D.C., or headed out to vacation, or at formal hearing environments. And there again, I think my preference is to keep it human, because we are all human. That's what we have in common, rather than just citing. I could chapter and verse statistics all day long, but that doesn't always persuade people or help them understand or empathize with where we're coming from. And I actually bumped into a couple members of the Ag Committee while in Washington, D.C. for the American Agri-Women Fly-In. And it was wonderful to kind of come full circle from when we visited at the Farm Bill hearing to, okay, now we've seen one version of a Farm Bill. Where do you think we'll be about 3 weeks from now? Or 2 weeks from now? Yeah.
Well, we'll dive into that in another segment, but right there, the other thing I know, as you relate it to everything for farming, for your family, that middle part of that conversation is food. And that is, you've always been passionate about that, and being in your business, you try to educate as much as you can.
That's right, and continually educate ourselves, too. Right now, earlier today I had a snack with hummus. 20 years ago, I couldn't stand the stuff. And now, especially after visiting with USDA and seeing a lot of farms are switching over to the chickpeas or the garbanzo beans from a traditional field pea type thing or sweet pea. Just being responsive to what are these consumer trends and what are some things that we can broaden or diversify our own diets and our own palates with. And yeah, food becomes the starting point for so many conversations and opportunities.
Heather Hampton-Nodal, our thanks to Heather, ag advocate, farmer, farm mom, and 4-H leader, not only to her children, but to 35 others in Montgomery County. Jenna Preston joins us here also with 4-H and FFA season upon us, Jenna. I know that you spent many years in both those organizations, and really a great opportunity for folks to come out and see what the youth of America is looking like today.
Yeah, absolutely. Today, when we were with groups of FFA kids at the Ag Communication Summit. It was great to hear what they want to do in the future, either in rural medicine or veterinarian. I mean, it was awesome to hear what these kids want to do in order to make this world a little bit better.
Yeah. Honestly, I almost jumped up and down a couple of times because I was blown away at what these kids were thinking about. So if you'd like to find out more about what the youth is doing, you're certainly welcome to visit the FFA convention this week, tomorrow through Thursday, downtown Springfield. 4-H shows going on all over the state. Heather Hampton mentioned the Montgomery County 4-H General Show happens this weekend in Butler. And if folks want to find out, when and where their local 4-H shows are going on, they can log on to their U of I Extension website or their county fair websites. When is your fair coming up?
Our fair is the 3rd week in July.
Well, we're lucky because you're going to be there and report live for us here on the network. We'll be back with more Town and Country Partners.
Be it through headlines, microphones, or tweets, Mike Orso connects rural routes for you. Mike has been covering farm and food issues for more than 3 decades. Whether it's print, video, radio, or feeding your online appetite, Mike keeps you in the loop. Here's a bit about his rural roots.
I keep our communities, state, and country in mind with everything I do. My job allows me to work toward this mission with farmers and other rural Illinoisans.
Be it routes or roots, RFD Radio, FarmWeekNow.com, and Farm Week keep you connected.
All Ag.
All Illinois.
All Now.
There are a lot of smartphone apps out there, but do they have what's important to us here in Illinois? The Farm Week Now app does, and it's always at your fingertips. All Ag, all Illinois, and 24/7 where and when you need it for free. Go to your app or Play Store on your smartphone, hit search, type in Farm Week Now, that's one word, and download it today. Brought to you by Illinois Farm Bureau, where we're all about farm, family, and food.
With an update on what's happening on the farm, impacting your family, and related to food, I'm Lori Laughlin for RFD Town and Country Partners. One of our favorite websites, bestfoodfacts.org, includes an entry called 5 Things You Didn't Know About Farming. Coming in at number 5 on the list is the number of people involved in production agriculture. You might be surprised to learn that farmers and ranchers make up just 2% of the U.S. population. There are a lot more people interested in farming who are involved in agritourism, things like corn mazes, you-pick fruit and vegetable farms, farm stands, farmers markets, and community-supported agriculture. Not surprising is number 1 on the list, the fact that most farms are owned and operated by families. We're often asked about so-called corporate farms or industrial farms. In reality, 97% of the nation's 2.1 million farms are family-owned. The percentage is similar for Illinois. Just 4% of the farms in the state are listed as corporations. And there's a strong likelihood that they're actually family-owned. They are legally incorporated only for purposes of protecting personal assets. Illinois farms probably aren't as big as you think they are. Just 10% are greater than 1,000 acres. 80% of Illinois farms are less than 500 acres. And while farming is full-time for some farmers, more than half have off-farm jobs that are at least part-time. More than 1/3 of Illinois farmers work 200 days or more each year at a job other than farming. The number of farms in the state has decreased dramatically in the past century, from 253,000 farms in 1910 to just more than 72,000 farms in 2016. Back to that list from bestfoodfacts.org. Number 2 on the list, farming is efficient because it is high-tech. Farmers use advances in technology to produce more food that is safe and affordable. Think GPS maps of farm fields and self-driving tractors. Number 3, farmers' passion for what they do. Farming is a lifestyle, not a job. It's 24/7, 365. Taking a vacation is tough for many farmers, especially if they raise livestock. And at number 4, the wide variety of production practices today. Organic versus conventional is just one of the comparisons. Read more at bestfoodfacts.org. Click on the Topics tab at the top and then choose On the Farm. For RFD Town and Country Partners, I'm Lori Loughlin.
Farmers, what's in your toolbox? Have you found the right best management practices for your farm? The Fulton County Farm Bureau wants to help you learn new ways to benefit at a Nutrient Field Day, taking place Wednesday, June 13, 9 to 1 at the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District main office on the Cuba Canton Blacktop. You'll hear about conservation efforts from farmers and industry experts. It's free and includes lunch. Contact the Fulton County Farm Bureau to reserve your spot.
RFD Radio Network's Rita Frazier connects rural routes for you. Rita delivers passion and reliable information to listeners on the RFD Radio Network. Her radio career spans close to 3 decades. Here's a bit about her rural roots.
I grew up on a small farm. My job today allows me to connect with people from all walks of life and experience opportunity every day. I get to talk about what I love, farming.
Be it routes or roots, RFD Radio, FarmWeekNow.com, and Farm Week keep you connected.
Welcome back to Town and Country Partners Radio. I'm Christina Wilkinson. Massage therapy has come a long way from the seedy massage parlors of yesteryear. Today's massage can range from glamorous to medically related. Massage therapist Erin Darnell says that massage therapy is evolving and can be a source of great comfort.
It really is a therapy, and that's where you see the direction of it going. There are so many different modalities with massage. So you have, your basic, what people are most familiar with is like a relaxation massage in a spa salon setting. But you really see it all over the board. So, for example, what I do, I work all over. So I work for Pure Synergy here in town, which they are partnered with iYoga. They do physical therapy, physiotherapy. So I get a lot of referrals from their physical therapists where you're looking at more injury-specific massage. So it's a great complementary therapy. And then I also have experience, I worked in a chiropractic office. You see a lot of massage therapists in chiropractic office working with the chiropractors. So they're working together to treat specific injuries for people. And then I also work at St. John's up in hospice. So I do a lot of work with hospice patients, a lot of their family members. I go out to nursing homes. I do massage therapy with Alzheimer's patients. So it really is a therapy that just spans so much. And it's very helpful. There's so many benefits that go along with massage. I could go on and on about that, but basic ones are, if you're having any sort of pain, it can alleviate or certainly make the pain lessen, whether that's from stress or an injury or an illness or what have you. It boosts the immune system. It increases circulation, promotes relaxation, which we all need in our culture and society right now. People are looking, I think, more into stress reduction techniques or relaxation techniques. So you see more people going into yoga or meditation, that kind of thing. So massage is really good for that.
With these types, like what you're talking about, these are pretty serious conditions, and that you want to have someone that actually is certified and knows what they're doing. Mm-hmm. What kind of certification should you look for if you're having more of a medical need?
Okay, so I would get a hold of the hospitals, because a lot of times the hospitals are working with a massage therapist in particular. Like they have their massage therapist either on staff or the nurses are working with someone like that. So you could always get a hold of the hospitals. Now, each state has different requirements for a licensed massage therapist. You should make sure someone's licensed. And you can do that. You can go online and look up a massage therapist and make sure they're accredited. And usually a lot of massage therapists will have websites, and you can go and look at their bio. You can look at what their education. You can look at their credentials. With me, I've been doing this in Springfield for 12 years now. And so because I've worked all over, because I've worked in the hospitals, because I worked in chiropractic, and I know a lot of people in the field, I do a lot of referrals. It's like I work almost like medically at this point. It's not relaxation spa salon type of thing. I certainly have those clients that love to do once a month upkeep, and that's wonderful. But I'm to the point now where I do a lot of referrals. So I have a good friend who's a chiropractor. I have a good friend who is a wonderful acupuncturist, and we do a lot of cross referrals. And so you build that up.
Flipping the coin, if someone was interested in becoming a massage therapist, what then are the steps to do that, and how then would you determine what area you might like to be in?
Sure. So there are so many different schools all over. I mean, you can type in massage therapy school, put in your town, a bunch are going to pop up. I would say, and everyone's different because it's such a huge field. It's a huge spectrum of what you want to do within massage. That's what's kind of appealing about it too. You can start in one area of focus and switch over, but just know what you want to do, know what you want to work with, who you want to work with. I have a friend who's a massage therapist that she initially went to school for personal training. So she is very interested in sort of that athletic physical therapy type of massage, so you can really focus into that. So know kind of who you want to work with, what you want to do, and then look for a school that specializes in that. For me, I was really interested in the healing component, so I looked up healing arts school instead of massage therapy school. I ended up going to a healing arts school in Madison, Wisconsin, just because the way that program was set up, they taught different modalities, different healing modalities, and that's what was important to me, and that's a lot of the clientele that I work with now in particular.
Anything that you would like to add for people that maybe are a little hesitant to do massage?
Sure, you really try it. I mean, it's just wonderful, and it's like anything else. I mean, if you're looking for a doctor, if you're looking for a counselor, if you're looking for a hairstylist, you really, word of mouth is huge. Ask around. If you see someone who gets massages regularly, ask them who they see. Or if you go into a doctor's office, or if you go anywhere. I mean, but it's really trial and error. I would say don't give up. If you've seen a massage therapist and it really wasn't your thing, then you know what you like, you know what you don't like. But you can start off, I do 30-minute sessions, 60-minute, 90-minute for someone who's a little hesitant. I would start off with a 30-minute, maybe work on their back and neck. That's a little less intimidating, and it really is about your comfort, and you should feel comfortable with your massage therapist. They do a consult. They're going to tell you everything you need to know, so you're not going to go in there and, not know what you need to do or not do.
The benefits of massage can vary from person to person, but I have to say that a girl's spa day with friends always sounds like a good time. For Town and Country Partners Radio, I'm Christina Wilkinson.
I'm all for massage, Jenna Preston.
Yes.
Hey, we are going to get our own kind of therapy when we're at the annual State FFA Convention tomorrow in Springfield.
Yeah, the Sea of Blue will be there.
Yes, we're going to be broadcasting this show live and direct, sponsored by Country Financial. On behalf of the entire RFD Radio team, I'm Rita Frazier.
They were outnumbered, out-equipped. They had no chance of winning, but they had one huge advantage: General George Washington.
The fate of unborn millions will now depend, under God, on the courage and conduct of this army. We have to resolve to conquer or die.
Just as the leadership of one man helped form a nation, today leadership can transform the world. Leadership is in you. Now pass it on from PassItOn.com.
From CBC News, The World This Hour, I'm Dennis Kelnan. Former Prime Minister Brian Mulroney expressed his surprise at the rhetoric of the U.S. president and his administration's officials. After Donald Trump left the G7 summit in Quebec this weekend, he lashed out at Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, calling him dishonest and weak. Senior U.S. officials accused Trudeau of stabbing Trump in the back. Mulroney spoke to reporters as he arrived for an event in downtown Ottawa.
I've never seen language like this, least of all from subordinates of the president, directed at the prime minister of their greatest friend and ally. This I've never seen before, nor has anybody else.
MPs from all parties passed a unanimous motion this afternoon backing Trudeau and defending Canada's positions on trade. Meanwhile, the mayor of Edmonton is back from a trip to the U.S. with apologies in tow. Dawn Iveson was in Boston for the U.S. Conference of Mayors as Trump lashed out. Iveson says the reactions in Boston to Trump's attacks were clearly in Canada's favor.
I can't tell you how many American mayors were apologizing to me and apologizing to Canadians for behavior that they find quite disappointing.
Trump imposed hefty tariffs on steel and aluminum in May. Trudeau responded with reciprocal tariffs on American products. The historic summit between Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un is imminent. It starts in about an hour from now. The U.S. says it wants a nuclear-free North Korea. What the North Koreans want in return is still not clear. Lindsay Duncombe reports.
Speaking to reporters in Singapore, U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo defined success this way.
The complete, verifiable, and irreversible denuclearization of the Korea Peninsula is the only outcome that the United States will accept.
But defining denuclearization is tough. The North Koreans won't easily give up weapons without sanctions relief, security guarantees, or other American concessions, such as a reduction of troops in the region. Increasingly, the U.S. is describing the meeting as a first step in a process, a get-to-know-you session which could lead to additional meetings. On one point, the North Koreans have already made progress. Kim Jong-un spent the evening walking through the streets of Singapore with a security entourage, taking selfies with officials in a spectacle broadcast live around the world. An isolated, brutal dictator relishing the spotlight. Lindsay Duncombe, CBC News, Washington.
Ottawa plans to spend more to help cities combat homelessness. The cities will have more leeway to fund local initiatives with the goal of cutting in half the number of people who are chronically homeless. Social Development Minister Jean-Yves Duclos says Ottawa is trying to accommodate the different needs of the homeless.
Younger Canadians, in many cases, don't want to use shelter services because they don't find themselves comfortable in those surroundings, so they will be couch surfing. They will prefer to stay on the streets because the shelter services, however important they may be, don't exactly meet their needs.
The new strategy will cost $2.1 billion over the next decade. Investigators are trying to figure out what started a fire in North Vancouver that killed 2 people and sent 16 more to hospital. More than 100 people were forced out of their homes early this morning when a housing complex caught fire. Debbie Brooks lives nearby.
Opened up the window and looked outside, and then all of a sudden there was a big explosion. I ducked back in because I thought maybe something was going to fly, and another explosion went off.
The fire chief says some people have serious injuries, including smoke inhalation and burns. And finally, this year's annual Newfoundland Iceberg Festival was capped off by the appearance of a polar bear that hitched a ride on an ice floe. The healthy-looking bear was spotted on Newfoundland's Great Northern Peninsula. Residents say it was surprising to see one so late in the spring. And that is your World This Hour. You can listen to us live on your mobile device using the CBC Radio app. For CBC News, I'm Dennis Kelnan.
This is Betty White. I know you don't need one more thing to worry about, but listen. High blood pressure can cause kidney damage, blindness, heart attack, stroke. And you can have high blood pressure even if you feel all right. 1 in 7 adults has it, but it's easy to get your blood pressure checked, and you can treat it if it is too high. So don't worry about it. Don't ignore it. Just see your doctor and check it out.
For your free booklet, visit the Will Rogers Institute at wrinstitute.org and find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise.
And all was Benjamin Franklin wise.
So you actually think electricity can pass through metal? Ha! Ben Franklin, go fly a kite.
Excellent idea. Where are my keys?
Besides the bifocals, Ben invented the Franklin stove, the odometer.
Whoa!
Oh, and the lightning rod. Ingenuity, pass it on. From the Foundation for a Better Life at values.com.
Your NBC Sports Radio update starts now.
The NFL is heating up, and yes, there are some big names that'll be holding out. I am Keith Irizarry. Julio Jones, he informed the team, the Falcons, he will not attend mandatory minicamp. Same goes on for Rams defensive star Aaron Donald and Khalil Mack and Earl Thomas. Hope you're writing all that down. Cowboys don't have that problem with Zach Martin, expected to be signing a 6-year deal that'll make him the highest paid guard in the NFL. All right, let's do New York right now. First, Jets and Giants both trying to bounce back from sub-500 seasons. We'll start with Big Blue and Landon Collins and why he thinks the defense will step it up this season.
Everybody can make plays, literally. It's not to where it's keyed on one person making a play. It's overall anybody can make a play, and we all can play fast. It's not very complex, and we have everything set and sound. You can just play fast.
And on the Jets side of things, they added a top-notch corner in Trumaine Johnson, and the former Ram likes being part of Gang Green.
The big one was Coach Bernard Wilson. I was with Wilson for the last 4 or 5 years. I started in St. Louis, and then I went to L.A. for 1 year. So that was big for me, just knowing his coaching style, him knowing my style of play was big for me.
Some NBA news. Dwayne Casey agrees to a 5-year deal to become the new head coach of the Detroit Pistons. Over on the Diamond, only 8 games today, and Red Sox Orioles, they're scoreless right now. Top of the 5th, Giants jump out 1-0 on the Marlins. Teoscar Hernandez, a home run, his 11th of the season. Blue Jays leading the Rays in the bottom of the 3rd, 3-1. For the rest of the scores and the stories, as always, head over to NBCSportsRadio.com. And New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy signed legislation allowing the state's racetracks and casinos to begin offering sports betting. Great news, there's a quick way you could save money. Switch to Geico. Go to Geico.com, and in 15 minutes you could save 15% or more on car insurance. I'm Keith Irizarry, and this is NBC Sports Radio.